Welcome back, everybody, to the Scale with AI Summit. About to kick off our second live session of day 2 of the summit with Francis Ablola, who is tuning in right now to join us. Francis is a man with many years of experience in marketing and copywriting, and he's going to share his approach to developing empathy-driven copy for your social media, for your direct response marketing, and he's going to show you how to use it. Use Claude to help you with accomplishing your goals with content and copy. I met Francis a few weeks ago at a mastermind here in Austin, Texas, and we got to talking about AI. And he was kind enough to be willing to spend some time to jump on here and share his process with how he helps not only himself, but his students as well have success with generative AI and connecting with more of your ideal target audience. Francis, great to see you. Whenever you're ready, come off camera. I'll pop you up over here into the speaker session. We've just coming off a short break and ready to rock and roll. Great to see you, Francis. How are you doing today?
Great to see you, my friend. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And I really appreciate the time to share with your people here. And yeah, we're gonna have some fun together. But it's a great honor to be here, man.
Yeah, I know that you've got such a wealth of knowledge from your experience in direct response for it was over 20 years, I think was what you mentioned on the preview that we had posted on YouTube. Your experience over the years has led you to being a 4X Inc. 5000 co-founder.
Yep.
So you've had success with multiple companies. It's not just a one-off thing. And in your career, you've seen a lot of changes in the marketing space, and obviously you've adapted with AI. And you also have a community that you train and help adapt and apply AI. You do your own events. And so I wanted to say thank you for giving me some tips and insights for how to level up how we're producing our events as well. And certainly took some of those insights into what we're doing right now in this summit. And I'm looking forward to learning from you and your process over the shoulder, how you approach marketing and content creation with generative AI these days.
Awesome. I love it. I'm excited to share. And yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's actually Monday. I was at another event in Jacksonville. So I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I was at another event and it was with Ed Milet and John Gordon. And I don't know if Ed Milet or John Gordon, two amazing leaders. Interestingly enough, John Gordon was my very first client 20 years ago. And so I met him he just finished his first book and he was just new to being a public speaker. He actually owned a number of franchises, the Moe's Southwest franchises here in town. And interestingly enough, after 20 years, now today, if you don't know John, he has 30 books published. He has 17 bestsellers, and he is now one of the highest paid public speakers in America. And it's
Wow.
amazing what 20 years can do with consistency. And he's still at it. And just when you were mentioning kind of my background in this, and yeah, it was a flashback seeing on Monday. That's where I came from. And it's amazing what you learn over the years and do that. I've got a lot of cool things to share with you guys today on again, identifying that really true empathetic piece of the market. And yeah, if you guys are ready, I'll happily jump right in.
You bet. I'm going to go ahead and give you the spotlight. And as with any of these sessions, guys, if you have questions, drop them in the comments and we'll have some time to get to some questions. And looking forward to learning from you, Francis. Thank you so much. Take it away.
Thank you. And I'm super interactive, so feel free to use the chat. I'll keep an eye on it right now. I actually have a teleprompter right in front of me where my screen is, and I got my chat here. I have 4 screens. So if you see me looking around, that's why. I'm going to open up my slides right now, and I'm actually going to we're going to do some live demo of some chat GPT stuff today too. So let me open up my chat GPT, make sure I have that here as well to get rolling. And again, this is going to be interactive. We'll go over some stuff. Let me open up my slides right now and share my screen. Whoops. That's not the slide I was going to share with you guys. Here we go. Let's do it one more time. Present, enter full screen mode. We are going to share my screen and get screen, by the way. Let me see a yes in the chat if you can see my screen and hear me okay. All right, perfect. Thanks, Darby. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Kim. So, real quick, as Darby did mention, my company, Real Advisors, is a four-time Inc. 5000 company. We've been in the space for quite some time. We actually started Real Advisors back in 2017 with a few of my friends, Dolmar Cross, Brian Hansen, and Richard Dunn. And right now, we teach a few workshops. We're an education and training company. We're heavily in the real estate investing space, and that's actually my partner right there, Dolmar Cross. He is the star of Zombie House Flipping Tampa. So we do events teaching people real estate investing, and based off his show, which is one of the hit shows on A&E cable network right now, I usually ask, does anybody watch cable TV? Mostly people say no, but it's a great brand anyway. So I find that people who are in business don't watch a lot of TV, but that's been a great brand. And we've actually used social media and now our AI to leverage our social media. And that's what got the attention of the network. So he's been on air for about a year now. We leveraged up his social media to become a social media influencer using content creation tools and things like that. We actually speed that up now in the market. And yeah, so he's been positioned as a great brand, and that's one of the reasons, one of the contributing factors to get his attention was using AI, was using social media, which is something that we teach to leverage his brand up. Again, Darby mentioned we were a four-time Inc. 5000 company. The fastest, the highest on that list was number 80, which as a new entrepreneur, that was always one of my dreams to hit that list to hit that list, and we were able to do it four times in a row. Truly blessed and honored. It's not because we're so great, because we have a great community around us. And that's exactly what you're doing here today is being with a powerful community. So I always encourage you to plug in and connect with people who are doing what you want to do, be able to accelerate your speed. And I know Darby has an amazing community around him. And so being plugged into that is a great place to be. We do consulting, we do real estate, we have businesses and sales and consulting firms like that. We have a social media agency, which we help people grow their social media efforts. And our latest venture is AIforbusiness.com, which is trainings for AI, people in AI. So enough about me. I really want to get into why we're here today. It's a little bit more about me. Let's talk about my 20 years of advertising and how this relates to you. So I've spent the last 20 years of my life as a direct response copywriter. What that means is I learned persuasion and influence and connection all through words in print. One of the reasons, actually, in fact, is I was so bad at one-on-one selling. I was so bad at face-to-face interactions with people because truly I'm an introvert and I like to stay to myself, but I had to sell to make money. I put myself in that position. I was so terrible at it that I was like, all right, there had to be another way. So 20 years ago, when I was about 20 years old, I stumbled upon the idea of direct response copywriting, writing ads that sell. And in that time, I put 50 million plus in online sales and sale. That's a conservative number. I've really stopped counting, but I've worked so hard at really perfecting that craft. In fact, all the books behind me are mostly influence, persuasion, sales books, copywriting books, marketing books. And to me, and today we're going to talk about the building blocks of your marketing. And that comes down to understanding your audience. But we will put a little spin on it because this is an AI event. We're going to talk about how to create what I like to call your direct response marketing researcher, your AI employee. And if you do this right, if you dial this in, this is one of the most important things you can do in all of your marketing. And there's a lot of great tools out there. I know Darby has an amazing tool with Market Sauce that I was playing around with and looking into in terms of audience creation and things like that. It's such a powerful thing that you can do. And so I learned this kind of the hard way, and I'll tell you about that in how I learned it in the hard way in a second. But if you do this right, you will make your marketing infinitely more profitable. And when I say I learned this the hard way, let me tell you a little of a story of where I got started. This is me right here in that purple and white shirt with the ball cap on. And that's my brother, Bernard. And this was about 20 years ago. I think I was maybe 20, 21 in this picture. Does anybody know the gentleman in the hat in red? Does anybody know the gentleman in the hat in red? Let me see it in the chats if you happen to know who that is. Yes or no would be awesome. No, Darby. Okay. Very cool. Anybody else? No. All right. So the gentleman in red he passed away, but he was considered one of the greatest copywriters to ever live. And his name is Gary Halbert. Now there we go, Coach JP, Gary Halbert, exactly. I attended an event when I was about 20 years old with Gary. And I thought that I knew this marketing stuff because sometimes 20 years olds have this unrealized confidence in themselves. And I had just quit my job. I had just dropped out of school. And I was like, I'm an entrepreneur. And I had been studying copy for about a year. In fact, I studied every single letter on the Gary Halbert letter, which was his free newsletter that he published at the time online. And I felt like I knew every single word. So I went to this event. There's about 20 people in the room. And he did what's called a hot seat. And so he goes around the room and picked up a couple people and said, all right, I'm going to help you with your business. Let's talk about it. Let's get in this hot seat and I'll give you some ideas. And so, being the overconfident person myself, I raised my hand. He put me in the hot seat and he proceeded to ask me questions about my product and service. Now, it actually just so happens I was working with John Gordon, who I mentioned at the beginning of this call today when I jumped on. I was working with John Gordon and he had a product on creating more energy. It was a book on more energy. And my job was to market that product and service. And here's the thing. I didn't read the book. I had no idea what he sold. I just thought I could write copy that could sell. I really didn't. And so Gary started to ask me questions about the product. He's like, all right, how do you get more energy? I was like, I don't know, drink more water, get more sleep. And from that, I don't know if it enraged him or what, but he proceeded to tear into me, which felt like an eternity. It probably was only 10 minutes about how I didn't know my market, how I was, it was a stupid product, how it just didn't work. And I couldn't defend myself. And there I was, my marketing hero, tearing me to shreds in front of an audience of me being the youngest person in the room. And so that experience stuck something in my head for a very long time. Because here's the thing, I didn't know anything about my product, my service, or my audience. But the number one job as a marketer, as a business owner, is to fully understand this information. Your job as a business owner, as a marketer, as a salesperson is to know your product or your service better than anyone else. And most people stop at the features, like the car has 4 tires, right? That's a feature. It's a minivan and it can fit 8 people. That's a feature. It has a bunch of airbags. That's a feature. The benefit of a minivan, for example, is knowing you can drive your entire family safely in a comfortable ride, get everybody from A to Z, all these airbags to keep everybody safe, lots of storage room. Those are the benefits, but most people don't know the difference. And also knowing your audience better than anyone else, including themselves. And I'll talk about that, why that's important here in a minute. And then know why it benefits your audience better than anything else. You need to know your product and why it benefits everybody better than anything else in the market. And really, I want to share with you today the number one secret to the greatest marketers. The greatest marketers all have this. It's empathy. Empathy. The ability to connect and understand the feelings of another person. Truly, this is the key to persuasion. And I want you to write this comment down. I want you to write this next line down. It's, I was just like you. When you're able to create a marketing message, whether it's in print, whether it's in video, whether it's a social media posts, and someone feels connected to you, it opens up the door for that relationship, that know and trust factor that we always drive for. Now, there was one quote that I learned in my years of being a copywriter that really stands out when I do the research and create a new project and when I'm diving into something. And this was a game changer for me. It's a quote by Robert Collier. It's, enter the conversation already happening in the prospect's minds. You'll want to write that down, screenshot it, do whatever, grab it. Enter the conversation already happening in the prospect's minds. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Every single one of us each day walks around with an elephant on our shoulders. Who believes that? Every single one of us walks around with an elephant on our shoulders. And what this elephant is the desires and the pains and the wants and the needs and the worries and the issues. It could be, I can't sleep at night because my kids are out there and I don't know where to do. I don't know if they're safe. Or my business is failing and I need some help. Or I can't get my health under control. I need to lose that extra 50 pounds. All of us walks around with the elephant. Just check in. Let me see. Does anybody agree with that statement? Yes, yes in the chats if you agree with the statement that all of us walks around with an elephant. I'll give you guys a second. Yes, Dwayne, awesome. Thank you. And so here's the thing. Here's the catch. Most people don't understand their own elephant. They know they have an issue. They know they have a problem, but it's very surface level. And even further than that, many people can't communicate their own elephant to others, meaning they can't get help. They can't ask for help. So your job is to become someone who can understand and communicate your prospects' challenges, wants, and desires, and needs, and pains, and worries better than anyone else. Better than anyone else. And also to be able to communicate it to themselves better than themselves. I was just like you. Remember that statement. I had you write it down. If you can identify that I was just like you statement, I was where you are today, but I found the solution, and this is what I did to get where I am today, and I can guide you the way. And so that all came from research. And how did I do this research? I did the old-fashioned way, right? AI has only been around for a little bit of time. I've been a direct response marketer for 20 years. So I dove into piles of research and data. I would spend times in libraries. I would go get old newspaper access. I would go into the real world and communicate with people, which is still very important. I would find competitive data in all the different sources I had. I would research competitors' marketing in old magazines and old websites in the Wayback Machine using all the tools. I would speak directly to customers and prospects. I would do surveys, and I would drive through all of that information constantly, ongoing, all because this guy drove into my head the importance of why I need to know all this research. Now, what's so amazing is now we have this shortcut. We can shortcut weeks or even months of research. And the way I love doing that is still getting live feedback. So how do you enter the conversation already happening in the prospect's minds? One of the massive advantages that we have is the internet. People feel free to be keyboard warriors and overshare about everything. If you agree, say yes, right? So they go online, they talk in forums, they go on Reddit, they go on Amazon, they share exactly what they're thinking. In more, it's exactly what's in their head, and there's no filter. If you're asked the same question as somebody on the street versus what they're putting online, there's going to be two different answers sometimes because they're not afraid to hold back online. So what I do, I go to Amazon reviews, forums, Facebook groups, Reddit, Twitter, YouTube comments. All these things allow me to gather this information. And so here's an example, Amazon, and you can check, let's just say we're selling a product on AI for business. So I have to do research on AI for business. So I'll go to Amazon, I'll look all these reviews. I actually learned this nearly 20 years ago from Jay Abraham, the Amazon tool, to be able to go and find all the comments of what people are saying. Because in these reviews, in these comments are what they like, what they don't like, what they would want to see more of, what they loved about the product. So if you're in your research mode, you can go and you can find all this information directly from your prospects, which is a super powerful tool. So simply, I'm looking for the books on my subject matter here. For example, ChatGPT Millionaire has 3,400 reviews. Some are 5 stars, some are 4 stars, some are 1 star. Well, I want to know what all these people are thinking. Here's another example. All right. So this is X. So you can go to x.com and again, read comments on your subject. I just did a quick search, AI for business. Again, that's my product that I'm marketing. And I would just go and do a search on what's on X and see all the information, all the comments. This one post had 92 comments on X about AI for business tools. All right, so that's cool. I'm doing more research. Here's another trick. You can actually find and search a filter on x.com where you see the minimum replies of 100 or more. So you only look for the most popular posts. So again, this one post on AI business has 849 comments. There's a lot of data 849 comments. Some are good, some are bad, some are really insightful. So you have to dig through all that information, right? Here is Reddit. So Reddit, these are AI for business. I just did a quick search on Reddit and I found several posts on Reddit that had information about my audience. These were people asking, how do you use AI to improve your small business? Will AI make you extremely rich? Can AI help your business? These are all comments of people talking real time, being able to get into the conversation happening in their heads. Here's Facebook. So I just put a post on one of our groups and I asked, hey, I need your help. I'm doing a presentation on using AI to make your life easier. I'm looking for inspiration. Tell me some ideas. So people comment on groups and you can get inside their head. They're not afraid of sharing information to be helpful with you. YouTube, I love YouTube. YouTube has tons of videos in your market. So I just did a search, AI for business. Here's 162 comments. So now you have access to all the information in real time of what people actually talk about online. And I want to use that information in my marketing. I want to use that information to allow me to really understand what they're saying. So how do I gather that up? The first thing is I scrape. It's really simple. I use scraper tools or even a virtual assistant to go manually and do it. But I use scraper tools to find content that's relevant to my audience. So here's a couple scraper API, browse.ai, webscraper.io. I'll show a couple for a few specific tools for you as well. Let me make sure I have my other screen up here. Perfect. Awesome. And let's show you Outscraper. This is Outscraper. This is what I use to scrape Amazon reviews. And all you do is go to the different Amazon books and you grab the URL and you put the URL in the link. Really inexpensive to scrape 100 reviews per book and grab all that information, right? The next thing, I go to Outscraper. Outscraper for YouTube comments. So I did the same exact thing. I found a couple popular videos. These are both TEDx talks on what will happen to marketing in the age of AI. How could AI empower my business? I'm just searching for these videos and I go back to Outscraper and put that information. It actually allows you to search, to scrape Facebook, to scrape Twitter, to scrape so many different sources, all from one place, which is really cool. Now, it won't let you scrape Reddit comments, so I use a tool called the Reddit Scraper, Apify, or I'm not sure how to say it, but I did the same exact thing. I found several Reddit posts that had the information that I was looking for just on simply searching Reddit and saying AI for business, or how do I use AI for my business, like I showed you just a minute ago. And I took all of those URLs and put them into the scraper. One other big tip, existing buyer surveys. If you have existing products that you sell and you have clients, survey them after the purchase, especially if you're a coach or consultant or service provider. Make sure to survey them right after they pay you, right after the buy, right after the close, because they are most excited. And I'll give you a tip. This is how I do it. This is a really big tip, by the way. You'll want to write this down. What I say is, all right, as thanks for joining my product, my service, my coaching program. Thanks for buying. Thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Customer. I have an onboarding survey that asks you specific questions about your experience, your past experiences, and your future experiences. I'd like you to fill it out in detail. Give me all the information, and I ask all the information of why they bought, what they bought in the past that worked for them, what they bought in the past that didn't work for them. I use all of that information right at the point of purchase after they've invested. Why do I do that? Because at that point, they are the most excited. And the way I position the survey is when you join the survey, do it because we're going to mold and model our services for you, our product around what you say and what you're looking for in that survey. So be as candid as possible. And you'll see some of these responses that we get are super long. And so we do that. If we did it before, they'd give us a blank answer. If we did it to people who weren't their customers, we get blank answers. If we do it to our existing customers, we get full data, right? Now, what do you do with all this research? What do you do with all this research? That's where ChatGPT comes in, right? We have this amazing analysis tool that allows us to really find the information. And remember what I said earlier, we're creating an AI employee, a direct response marketing researcher, a direct response marketing expert. And we start asking it questions. So as a copywriter, this is an example of an audience profile. Now, if you were to hire me as a copywriter, I'm not for hire anymore. But when I was a freelance copywriter, I would charge anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 for a sales letter package to write an advertising campaign, sometimes more, depending on what the campaign was. The very first thing that I did was research. And part of it was asking the questions to understand the audience, because I learned from Gary Halbert that's what I needed to do to make it super effective. I don't have, let's say I wanted to shortcut my time. I'm not doing this with a client, I'm doing it for my own work, or I just wanted to get the head start. I'm going to ask these questions to ChatGPT based off the information that I scraped. So if you're following me here, I'm doing all of my market research through information that the audience is already telling me through all of the things that are relative and parallel to my products or services. In this case, AI for business was my example. I'm gathering all that information from every single place I can find. And now I'm taking that information into ChatGPT. So let's open up ChatGPT, right? Let's go here. Let's go to ChatGPT. And then I'm going to have a series of prompts. I'm going to share these with you guys too. My first prompt, actually, what I'm going to do first is here. This is all the information that I scraped just from the examples I shared with you today. I can take that information, I can upload that into ChatGPT. All right, create a message. It's not letting me. Let's give me one more second. This is live. Oh, you know what? Because I'm not on my account. That's why I'm not logged in. That is why. I was like, what is going on with ChatGPT today? Here we go. This is the account that I'm logged into, the pro version. So you do need the pro version of ChatGPT to make this work. So I'm going to go ahead and upload all of the data. I got my Reddit scrapers. I got my YouTube scrapers. I got my responses from my surveys. And I'm going to give you this prompt. So the prompt that I'm having is this. And in fact, if you want this, I'll put in the chats here for everybody. Take the role of a direct response market researcher. So I always, when I start a prompt, I give it a specific persona, right? So take the role of a direct response market researcher. Your job or specific task is to create an avatar of an audience interested in AI for their business. Attached, and this is uploading, so I'm using the upload import method of content. Attached is attached are comments from Reddit, YouTube to on the subject. Please analyze the information provided to create an audience profile. Pay close attention to what you gather of demographics of the audience and psychographics relating to the wants, desires, and needs of the audience. So I'm gonna just go ahead and hit go, and that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to take all that analysis of information that I provided it, and it's going to be my direct response researcher. It's going to be able to analyze all the information, hundreds and hundreds of reviews, hundreds of comments, all without me spending the time to look at it. Now here it's happening. Predominantly 25 to 55, the mix of early career professionals, mid-career, business owners. This is from what it's gathering from the data provided. Entrepreneurs, managers, consultants, PhD candidates, professionals in marketing, all from what people are saying in those chats, right? Psychographic interests, core motivations, pain points, and it's going on, finding that information. So now this gives me a general idea. Now I want to get more specific because Gary Halbert taught me to be more specific. It taught me to really understand what's next. So let's do this. All right? It's actually giving me some questions here, but I want to take it a step further, okay? Here's my next prompt. And I'll put this in the chat for you as well. Continuing to act as an expert AI direct response marketer, what questions do I need to ask to create a full profile for this audience focused on sales psychology? So I'm not even giving it questions. I'm asking what questions I should ask. And so that's important. Let's go. And Darby put a question in here. Question, do you find ChatGPT is better for processing this type of analysis than Claude? I remember you mentioning use Claude too, but I know each has its own strengths in different areas. Yeah, so absolutely. So great question, Darby. One thing I love using Claude, especially for the writing of the work. When I'm looking for this information, the problem with Claude is I can't upload as much information as I can in ChatGPT. So it limits me. So when I'm doing my research and I have lots of information, my limits on ChatGPT actually have more. Now, what I may do is I might use Poe.com. And so I do have a paid subscription to Poe.com as well. It allows me to upload more into Claude. So I might do that too. But for this part of the process, when I'm really gathering information, I'm using both. But when I'm actually writing the copy, and I won't have time for it today, but copywriting with Claude is so powerful. I just wrote, and I got this today. I just wrote a 20-page sales letter in maybe 30 minutes time using Claude. No, there was more time than that. I did more research, but I used Claude and it has a 28% conversion rate on a sales letter. I got that note today using Claude without me touching a single word of that copy. Really crazy. And so part of it was me starting with this process to understand my market and then taking that information, putting it in my mind, like the human interaction still has to be there, and then moving that into Claude after. So check this out. Now I have all the questions, right? Understanding the core motivations. What specifically do you hope to achieve by implementing AI in your business? These are the questions I should be asking my audience. And here's the great thing. My audience has already spoken. I just need to know what to ask. So I might say, all right, so let's answer these questions, right? So let's please, I no longer know how to type either anymore. I always use voice dictation with everything I do. Please answer the following questions based off your analysis in the role of direct response marketing researcher and copywriter. So I just use the built-in Mac voice transcription. I also use this little tool that says a side note. I don't know if anybody uses it. Flow Voice, I believe it's called. Flow Voice is really cool. And it's just a little transcription type thing there. So I'm going to type in and put my questions here. And so it's going to give me these answers. It's going to start giving me the answers of what are people looking for? What information that they're trying to gather in a product or service. And so I'm using this to go back and forth on what exactly I'm looking for. On a personal level, what would success mean feeling empowered and confident using this technology? So again, I'm using this as my sounding board, and I'm taking note of this as I write copy. So here's another question. This is one of my favorite questions to ask because I'll give you a pro tip for writing copy is if you can use the sales, if you use a language that they use in your marketing, that the language that your audience is using in your marketing, it makes the rapport stronger because it sounds like them. And so that's such an important thing. So the third question that I used, what was it? Oh, I just put that in there. Let me give you the answer. Here we go. I'll put them in the chat for you, Sherry. All right. So now I'm going to ask it, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. So what specific language is used consistently to express what the audience likes and desires? So what specific language? So now as a copywriter, I'm looking for what exactly the market is asking for in their own language. So what's the likes and desires? Let's see what that comes up with. And this is fascinating stuff because I might not really know this yet. So words like streamline and automate and reduce workload are common. Work smarter, not harder. Focus on high value tasks. Now, like my marketer brain might say some of those words are overused, but the market's using them, not me. So they actually want to hear these things. The market's dictating that. So Michelle says, never thought about the language. Love that idea. Absolutely. It's one of the most powerful tools in a marketer's, a copywriter's toolbox is to understand the language that they're already using. It's not to introduce language. It's to use a language that they're speaking. So that's a huge piece. So they use terms like data insights and predictive analysis and informed choices. Phrases like understand trends and see the bigger picture, highlights. All right. Terms like personalized experiences, customer satisfaction, targeted marketing. All right. So now I understand some of the languages that they're using in their reviews. And again, this is based off the audience that I'm targeting. Let's go one step further. And this is really important. Now I have what they like. Now I want to know what they dislike. I want to know what they dislike. I think that I have the fourth prompt in there. Let's see. I'll put it one more time in there for you, Sherry. I thought I uploaded it. Let's do one more time. So it's this one here. What is the specific language? Yep, I must have missed it. Specific language is used to consistently express the audience likes and desires. Now I'm going to ask, what specific language is consistently to express the audience dislikes and objections? Because my job as a copywriter is to answer all of the objections in the copy. So I want to, especially before they think of it, I want to answer all the questions before they think of the objections. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. All right. So too technical, too overwhelming, not user-friendly. Let me ask you in this chat, does anybody ever feel like AI can be too technical, overwhelmed, and not user-friendly? Say yes in the chat if you've ever felt that way at any point in using AI to begin with. No, Michelle says no. Okay, awesome. So what's interesting about this is many of the prospects and many of the people that we work in our audiences say the exact same thing, that there's too much information and it's overwhelming. Tech heavy, difficult to implement, complex setup. Phrases like time consuming, resource intensive, continuous management, significant upfront work, lengthy training. That's what they dislike. So all of this information, I'm getting a report of what exactly my audience is looking for. Exactly what my audience is looking for. Now, I want to take it a step further and start writing some understanding this market even more. Okay. So let's go. And I have one more prompt here. Let's do this. Continuing as a direct response copywriter, use the audience language patterns as examples. Please create a persona and personality to style voice that would most appeal to the particular group in an expert. Design a writing style, reading level, tonality, and personality that would resonate and create trust in this audience to be used for the voice for any output. Create a complete writing style guide. So what I'm doing now, if this makes sense, is I'm saying, okay, AI, you have all this information that I fed you about my specific audience. I want you to analyze their answers. I want you to analyze the persona that you've created. I want you to analyze everything about this specific audience I'm writing to now. Please create a personality for me to take in my copy to use as my guide moving forward. Does that make sense? Can you see this being useful? Is this helpful in understanding sort of your audience and your voice? One of the biggest things that I learned as a copywriter, as a freelance copywriter for so long, is there's so much power in understanding and creating a voice that matches your audience. It's not your voice, it's the voice that the audience resonates with. And now AI can create a style guide. So let's go ahead and do that. Continue as a direct response copywriter. I'll put that in the chat as well. Right? So I'll go ahead and give you that prompt also. And we go back here. So here's the writing style crafted toward this. So persona name, we got Alex Thompson. Professional background, writing style, 9th to 10th grade. Clear professional without excessive jargon or complex sentence structure. Now, this is really important, especially if you don't have a background as a copywriter. I was reviewing someone's copy yesterday, and they used AI to write it. And when I used a tool called Hemingway app, and I'll share that tool with you right now. Let's see if I can pull it up. Hemingway app. One of my favorite tools. This tool watches your reading grade level and your readability score. You can see it there. And so I did this. This is actually the sales letter that I wrote based off of this. Let me try to clear this out. Select all, clear. So I did this to some copy that one of the people in my mentoring group reviewed. They submitted it to me. It was written at a postgraduate level for Facebook ad. Do you really think there's a lot of postgraduate level people looking at Facebook ads? Is that the general common denominator between people? Probably not. So I had him use this tool and break it down to get it to where it was a 6th or 7th grade level, sometimes 8th grade level. So here's the writing style. And again, 9th to 10th grade level, short just paragraphs or digestible paragraphs that focus on clarity. Alex speaks in a way that demonstrates authority without being intimidated. That's really important. They explain concepts clearly, avoiding excessive technical language. Alex avoids hype and overpromises, empathetic and relatable, key language and tone cues. So this is now an entire style guide that you can write, or even better, have AI use as your writing guide. And so Darby mentioned the question, do I heavily use Claude versus ChatGPT? I sometimes use both. I heavily use Claude more than ChatGPT to write copy. But now ChatGPT is trained on my voice. I did this in this example because I can upload more information. Again, I use Poe sometimes, poe.com sometimes for more data. But in this case, I'm using ChatGPT. Now I can use ChatGPT as my writing guide. And so this gave me an entire style to write my copy. Now, I have a little bit more time than here. I do want to leave some time for questions as well, but I want to take it a step further for you. Is that okay if I take it one step further as well? And so let me see, if I wasn't going to share this, but I'm going to give you guys some extra stuff here. Is this good so far, by the way? Is this helpful for you guys? You want me to keep going for just a little bit? We'll have some time. Awesome. All right. Good deal. So I have some prompts that I wrote. Let me see if I can find the folder first that are all about writing sales letters. And as I mentioned, I got response back today on a sales letter that we sent to an email list, and it's getting a 28% response on sales. To give you an example, I was looking for 5 to 8%. If I were to write a letter, I would get a 5 to 8% response rate of somebody buying. This letter got 28 response, 28% conversion rate so far, using the process that I showed you just now and what I'm about to share with you in a second. All right, here we go. And I created a series of prompts just using ChatGPT and my own experience to help me write copy. And so one of the things I have is something called a questions to ask a copywriting client worksheet. And so this is 100 questions. If I were to ask a client to hire, who would hire me, if they would need, I would need to know the answer to all of these questions, right? And so what I do is I answer these questions just through an audio, and I feed that into ChatGPT or Claude. And what it does is it allows me to write copy based off what they're looking for. Now, what I'm going to do is actually show you exactly how I use this. Again, this is a big 100-question thing. Would you guys like me to share this with you, by the way? Is there a way to share on a chat in here? I don't think so. What I can do is I'll email this to you, Darby. I wasn't planning on sharing this with you guys. I'll email it to you. If you, it's just a Word document, and you guys can get it out to. It says I can attach a file. Oh yeah, I can attach a file. Perfect. All right. Again, Word document. There's nothing in it other than just the questions, but I'll send this to you guys now. And then what I do is I just go to questions to ask copyright client, and I'll give it a prompt like this. Let's see. All right, there it is shared. That's the questions. Act as a direct response marketing copywriter doing research on a product for AI for business with the audience information provided above and information and research already obtained. Please answer the questions in these documents to support writing a product or service for this market. I got a little sloppy at the end of that prompt. It was just off of my mind. By the way, I'm not sure if you guys talked about prompting. I'm sure it's a big topic, but I always follow the simple formula. I give it a persona, I give it a specific task, I upload information or import information if I need to, I give it a format for output. So that's the simple formula that I always follow for that. And so I'm gonna do this here. And so now it's reading the documents, it's getting the information, it's answering. I'm not gonna have it give me all 100 questions, but you can see it's going off this project and asking itself as a direct response copywriter to answer all these questions. And we're going through, again, it's giving me all the information. It's doing all the work from what they said. So I can go back and let's say I don't have a product yet. I can use this information to develop product. If I did have a product, what I would do, I mentioned earlier, I would just record myself answering as many questions as I can and upload that information in your own voice. I'll give you actually one more shortcut. If you do have a product, is that based on the information you scraped? Asid's asking, or Assad, sorry about that. Yeah, so I'm asking it based off the information above in the same thread. This is all one thread of ChatGPT. I'm asking it in the same thread, use the information obtained earlier in my research to answer these 100 questions. It's going to stop here in a second. Actually, I'll stop it now. But you guys get the point of now it's doing all the research to ask these questions. Again, if you were to hire me as a direct response copywriter, I'm not available for hire anymore, but if you did, I would charge you a large amount just for the research phase of this to answer this 100-question profile. And so that's part of it. Now I'm going to take it another step further. Let's see. I'm going to give you guys, I actually have a product on this. I'm just going to give you guys the prompts because I like you guys. You guys are awesome. All right, so I'm going to give you guys, this is all inside of what I normally teach on this subject. This is going to be a file that is my full sales letter template. And so I'm uploading that into the chat again. So this full sales letter template is is a prompt that I created or an uploadable piece based off a full sales letter of the models that I do. So I modeled guys like Gary Bencivenga and Clayton Makepeace, who are my favorite copywriters, Gary Halbert, and I broke down their sales letters and said, all right, what are the key components of a sales letter? And so these are the basics of a sales letter and the rules for writing copy, the voice, the language, the personality, tonality, based off what I need. So what I'll do is I will upload this document and give it another prompt. Please analyze the full sales letter template and act as a direct response copywriter. Use this template as a model to write a sales letter based off a product for AI for business. Please start with the headline. Actually, I'll correct myself. Start with the outline to confirm what we're looking for, and we'll move section by section. Ask questions along the way that need to be answered to complete the project. And so that's exactly what it's going to do. And so first it's going to give me the outline. I'll give you guys this prompt. Give you this prompt first. And so section by section, outline for my sales letter. Now, I didn't give it information for products. I should have. So if you have a product, you can do this. And now it's outlining each section of the sales letter based off the sales letter, full sales letter prompt that I uploaded into the chat for you guys. And so it's going on based off that information. Now I'll stop it there. It has the information. I'll do one more example here. This is good. Thank you. Now, with the information provided, please write the compelling headline and opening paragraph. And so there it goes. Creates a compelling paragraph, opening paragraph, compelling headline, and I can just go on down the line of my sales letter to create this information. Pretty cool stuff, right? Let's see. I have a few more minutes. I want to. So let's move back a couple steps. Let's say you don't have a product, but you have this research. You don't have a product. You want to create a product in this market, but you have this research. Okay. Let's ask AI based off the research it already has to go and do some research for me. Please act as a direct response marketer, creating a new product for AI for business using the information above from the reviews on Amazon, Reddit, customer surveys, and YouTube videos, and all the data obtained in the research phase above. Please give me ideas on a product or service that would be useful in this market. And again, I'm just looking for ideas now. This is coming from the reviews gathered. AI workflow automation platform. It's giving me key ideas based off what people are looking for. AI Insights Hub for strategy and small business. AI-powered customer service assistant. I like that one. I'm going to stop that one right there. All right. So let's go here. And again, I'm just having fun with AI now to help me build this product based off all the research that I've done. I like this idea. Please use this idea and help me build out an offer that I can make to an audience around this. Please explain what goes into the creating the product or service, what price points would be valid, and any other details or questions I should be asking in order for making this product a reality. I'll put that in the chats for you guys as well. Now I'm just freestyling here, all these prompts. But now it's going to build out what my product is. Like I had no product idea. I have the research. All I had was the idea of a topic. It's going to start helping me create key features, personalization engine, what people are looking for. This is really powerful information. The pricing structure. I'm building a business now based off the information that already exists in the market. Really cool stuff. Awesome. Darby, I have about 10 minutes left on time here. Do we want to open up for some questions?
This is so good. Yeah, let's open it up for some questions. And yeah, let us know if you guys have any questions or otherwise. We got about 10 minutes before we transition into Gamma. I do see one hand raise. Mumtaz, if you want to come off mute.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Francis. This was invaluable to me. I really appreciate it. I'm in the process as a real estate agent to make some GPTs for my clients. And I've made a couple, but if I'm going to take what you've provided and make a sales copy for this? Would I have to be very specific about the real estate agents only and say, make a sales copy for XYZ? Or how would you go about doing that?
That's a really great question. And so if I were to do that, because I've played around with GPTs for this process and I've not used them. And the reason why, I've tried to do bots and I've tried to do all these other things. I've tried to create my own software that does this. The reason why I haven't really zeroed in that in is because for when I write copy, I get very specific on the audience. So even the realtor that your agent that you're working with, unless you want to productize it and make it a generality, I want to understand that person's personality. So for
Okay.
you, what I might do is interview them using just an audio recorder to transcribe that information. And then what I would do is ask the AI to analyze this recording, this transcript, identify the personality, the tonality, the comprehension level, the any common phrases this person uses, and use that in my copy to make it sound like them. And
Okay.
so that's not necessarily scalable as one thing, because you can do that as a generality using a GPT for sure. But when I write copy, I really like to zero in on the voice and the project specifically. That makes it stand out. Yes, to answer your question, you can do it as a GPT, do this process if it was more of a general thing. So you would upload into the knowledge base there, the processes that we just talked about, work through that each step of identifying these things, but it just wouldn't be as personalized. But actually, I guess what you could do is leave it so you upload the transcript when you every time you use it to understand that person's voice. So hopefully that wasn't too unclear. I'm
No,
looking through
no,
my head.
that's very clear because I'm making some stakeable GPTs. Okay. So first I ask them to talk about their business. Then I ask them to talk about their personal voice, tone, everything. And so I have a set of questions for them that they will answer. And then the GPT analyzes it. Okay. Then if we do this sales letter GPT, then everything gets mixed up in one GPT. That would be doable, would it?
Everything gets mixed up in one GPT.
Because
Uh,
it's personalized according to the agent, the real estate
yeah.
agent. So they would tell me about their business. Say, example, they're in the new construction business, and then this is the tone of voice, and everything is analyzed, and then they get the questions for the sales letter, and then they can use that GPT to come up with their own content.
Yes.
Is that idea crazy or it's doable?
No, I think that's doable. I think you can do that.
Okay.
I think you
Okay.
can do that for sure. Great question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You
Of
just
course.
confirmed everything that I've been working on, so I appreciate that.
I love it.
Thank you. Okay.
Awesome. Any more questions, guys?
Sherry says we break our GPTs down by niches such as first-time buyers, baby boomers, and so on. Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
Very cool. What camera are you using? What camera? I am using the Sony EZ-V10 with a Sigma 16 lens. And I have an Elgato prompter. That's why I'm looking right at the camera as well. Elgato prompter right in front of me on top of that. Very cool. Darby, this was awesome. I had a lot of fun. You got a great group here. And just to give you some ideas and inspiration, I've been using AI now to replace my ability to write. And I use the processes to teach my non-copywriting team to write copy. And so actually we teach our virtual assistants in the Philippines who have some copywriting experience to leverage this as well. And we're getting really good copy from even our virtual assistant team because they follow the same exact process. And so it starts with research. We do have a number of prompts. I shared a couple with you on writing those processes, but just the idea of gathering information, scraping that information, using that, following the prompt processes of the sales letter and the tonality and voice. That's the biggest thing. Creating the style guide of tonality and voice is huge. Assad says, do you always find the info that you want when scraping? For the most part, yeah, because I'm always using, if it's a general enough topic, I'm going to Amazon, I'm finding that information on Amazon, I'm finding YouTube, all that information's out there. And so if I'm scraping it, I'm finding that I'm definitely doing that. I'll give you another shortcut is if I already have a sales presentation. Let's say you're on this call and you have a webinar or a sales presentation that you deliver one-on-one, record it, transcribe it, upload that, and have ChatGPT or Claude, I'd actually say Claude, analyze that transcript and then say, from this, do the process that I just showed you. So from this, answer all the questions in the 100-question profile, analyze voice, tonality, personality, and style, and use that information to build your sequence. So the sales letter that I mentioned that I wrote that had a 28% conversion rate, that was a sales letter based off a webinar. So there was already a pre-existing webinar. I just took the sales letter, I took the webinar transcript, uploaded that. It's a different product, by the way, but similar speaker. I said, analyze the tone, analyze the product, and then ask me questions based off take the role of a direct response copywriter. Ask me questions relevant to make the message that you need in order to make this the letter that you're looking for. And so I had the AI be the copywriter for me.
Was it somebody else's webinar or your webinar?
It was for a project I'm involved in. So it was mine. Now you could take someone else's webinar and identify, I've done this before too. So I take someone else's webinar and I actually take a number of webinars that are high performing that I know. And I say, please analyze this and dissect them. And please identify the highest converting points of this webinar in terms of sales psychology, in terms of formatting, in terms of objection handling, and create a guideline for my webinar. And then I would take my information and say, okay, using this, create an outline for me. And that's what I would do in that process.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So much, Francis. We're about here on time. So I want everyone, such a good session. A lot of great takeaways. We'll be taking these prompts, putting them inside of the directory so you guys can access them after the fact, as well as that document that you shared. Absolutely amazing, says Michelle. I think others can echo that sentiment. So thank you so much, Francis. This has been eye-opening and just fun to watch you, how you interact and work with these tools. So
awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. Thank you, Darby. Thank you, everybody.
Until next time. Thank you so much, Francis.